Hey everybody, welcome to the sorry about that, the evening devotion. That's right, I'm kind of throwing a little bit of a curveball, so I'm not going to get mad if too many people aren't in my comment corner checking it out, because usually I just don't do it in the evening at all. But hey, my brother's listening, so this better be a good one, right? But no, just joking. It's great having him in with me today. So I ended up taking a road trip up to Payson today, and so I didn't get a chance to do the morning devotion. But it's time for me to get in the Word. I could really use it. I've been on the road all day, and it's nice just to kind of soak a little bit into the Word. So Job 29 and 30 is where we're at. Well, you could always check out the archives that I do at my YouTube channel. Right there, Bo Willett. It's just my name, Bo Willett. And you can watch all the old kind of archives. The neat thing about going through the Bible with me is just simply that I'm kind of a product of my generation, very Generation X kid, Southern California guy. And it's interesting, not being raised around the Bible and then reading the Bible and then kind of going, whoa, it's a lot different than what I thought. It really answers a lot of questions that I had about God and about humans and about problems in the world and what I saw and what I didn't see. And sometimes just going through the Bible, just simply going through it, really helps understand and really answer a lot of questions that you might have about the Bible. And, I was one of those guys that's super typical of my generation, where you just kind of bag on the Bible a ton and you don't really ever read it. And so a lot of things I said, it was definitely from ignorance, just had no idea. Job is an awesome book. There's a backstory with Job, God, Satan, this whole first two chapters, very interesting. And then you have these kind of back and forth dialogues between Job and his three buddies. And it's interesting, the three buddies seem to be saying all the right things, all the things that are good theologically. They all seem to be right. But it's interesting that we're going to kind of find out in the book that actually they're wrong. And they're wrong in the sense of not so much what they say is wrong, as in it's not true, but it's that it's not being utilized in the right context. And so it's one of those books of discernment that sometimes we speak and we just aren't understanding that, yeah, it might be true what we're saying, but it's not the right time. It's not the right place. It maybe is not just the right context to be saying that, to be sharing that. So it's kind of interesting that we can speak truth, but it's still not be in the right context. And it still not be kind of, in a sense, used properly, and so Job has been on a kind of a tear right now. He's given his last talk, but it keeps going, and so Job 29 says, Job continues speaking. He says, I long for the years gone by when God took care of me, when he lit up the way before me and walked safely through the darkness. That kind of idea of just, man, I wish things were like they were. Have you ever had that before? That kind of idea of wanting something of the past. Maybe, we all kind of are going to go through tough times. We're all going to go through times where our bodies are going to no longer do what we want them to do. And, we're going to long for something, and that's interesting. I want to have a future hope. I don't want to just be that person who's looking back and going, oh yeah, that was great back then. But I want to go, man, I got something in the future. And this is what certainly Jesus has come to reveal is the true nature of God and the hope of eternal life, something that was lost, something that has been lost. And Jesus said, I've come to reveal the Father. So, hey, you got a doubt about God? Hey, yeah, that's right. You go outside, there's no God. Jesus says, I've come to reveal the Father. I've come to show everybody that there truly is a God. And God really loves you. And this kind of idea. And so, you can have a future hope. and not just look at the past. But Job is in intense grief over all the things he's lost. And he says, when I was in my prime, God's friendship was felt in my home. The Almighty was still with me. My children were all around me. Isn't it so true when you're in your prime and everything's great? Oh, I feel great. Oh, God, that is great. You got the world at your hand because you're healthy. You feel like everything's going right on. You're in control of life. My cows produced milk in abundance, and my groves poured out streams. Woo, sorry about that. That was some Arizona allergy right there. It says, those were the days when I went to the city gate and took my place among the honor leaders. City gate is a place of, in a sense, the governorship of the town. The young stepped aside when they saw me, and even aged rose in respect at my coming. Oh, don't you remember when the young looked up to you and the old even looked up to you, and you were just, you just were in that prime of life. It seemed like, you could do everything. You could be everything you wanted to be. And everybody, thinks that's going to last forever. But that's an illusion, right? It's not going to last forever. The princes stood in silence, and they put their hands over their mouths. The highest officials of the city stood quietly, holding their tongues in respect. All who heard me praised me. All who saw me spoke well of me. I could speak very eloquently, for I assisted the poor in their need and the orphans who required help. Man, I helped out the poor. I helped out the orphans. It's interesting. Jesus' brother picks up on that verse, by the way, in his writing in the New Testament. If you've ever heard of the book of James, the half-brother of Jesus, he talks about true religion as what? Helping the poor and taking care of what? Orphans. Orphans and widows, actually. That's what he says. Very similar to this passage, right? It says, I helped those without hope, and they blessed me. I caused the widows. There you go. The widows. See, James is picking up on this book. That's right. Everything in the New Testament's not new in the sense of new as in it's never been heard before. No, it's a continuation of the old, right? That's right. Everything I did was honest. Righteousness covered me like a robe, and I wore justice like a turban. I served as eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. I helped out everybody who was in need, right? I didn't put a stumbling block before those that were blind, but I actually helped them out. Hey, am I that kind of person that helps people out? Or do I cause people to stumble? It's a good question. Something to think about, right? What is my effect on other people? I was a father to the poor. I assisted strangers who needed help. Man, awesome. Taking care, foster children, taking care of people. Love it. I broke the jaws of godless oppressors and plucked their victims from their teeth. Whoa, dude. I mean, he was hardcore WWF or whatever it is, right? Man, I broke the jaws of the godless oppressors and plucked their victims from their teeth. Meaning, when the oppressors went after people, I was like a lawyer to help out those people get out of that place where they were being attacked. Pretty radical. He says, I thought, surely I will die surrounded by my family after a long good life, for I am like a tree whose roots reach the water, whose branches are refreshed with the dew. New honors are constantly bestowed on me, and my strength is continually renewed. Everyone listens to my advice. They are silent as they waited for me to speak. After I spoke, they had nothing to add, for my counsel satisfied them. They longed for me to speak as people long for rain. They drank my words as a refreshing spring rain, and when they were discouraged, I smiled at them. I looked for approval. I was precious to them. Like a chief, I told him what to do. I lived like a king among his troops and comforted those who mourned. Man, he was an amazing guy with words. Every time he spoke, people went, whoa, Job, you're amazing, man. You got so much great things to say. Absolutely off the charts. Just blew you away, man. I love listening to you more than anybody. He was that kind of guy, right? Sounds like everything's great. Everything's going great for Job. Man, I just wish those days were back. I wish everything stayed the same. Boy, I wish everything was like it was. So many of us live in that kind of, I wish it was back then. I wish I could go back. I wish I could relive that. Man, if everything could just stay the same. The problem is everything does change in life, doesn't it? Things always change. It's kind of a trip how that happens. Things just don't stay the same. People live, people die, things change, your body gets different, everything changes. And it takes years for you to figure that out a lot of times. That things, there's always that person that's going, hey, save your money, you're going to need it later on. And you go, what, save your money, what are you talking about? I don't need to save my money. And then you get to that age where you're like, you know what, maybe I should have saved more money. That kind of thing. So now we're gonna go on with Job. He speaks now, and let's hear about his anguish, right? Oh man, wishing for the good old days. But now I am mocked by people younger than I, by young men whose fathers are not worthy to run with my sheepdogs. Now I lost everything. I'm no longer that person that people looked up to, because I don't have the nice house anymore. I don't got, my family died. My health has gone to whack. And it's amazing how a lot of times what we're doing in life is we're listening to people not so much for their wisdom, but because of their prominence, right? They have some kind of position of power or place. They seem in control, and that somehow attracts us. And we kind of long for that. We kind of go, wow, that's powerful. Man, I love strength. People of strength, that's what it is. And a lot of times we don't want to hear the weak person. It's amazing how people didn't want to hear Jesus. Jesus gets mocked, killed, right? But before he was killed, he was beat. People wanted him to talk, he wouldn't talk. People start losing faith. Oh man, he's not really the guy. He's not really this. He's not really that. Even Jesus, too, when the chips are down, people scatter. And we are so frail like that as human beings. Just look at what we worship. Look at what we boast in, who we boast in, who we look up to. And you see utter failure in human beings. We always tend to look to the wrong person. It's super sad. We might get lucky every now and then when we find someone who's kind of cool. But on the whole, a lot of times we just put too much clout in cisterns that can hold no water, right? Jars that got holes in them. And that's how we are as human beings. We're people with holes all over us, right? And he says, so I'm no longer, hey, people that couldn't even run with my sheepdogs, they now, right, mock me. A lot of good they are to me, those worn out wretches. They are gaunt with hunger and flee to the deserts, to desolate and gloomy wastelands. They pluck wild greens from among the bushes and eat from the roots of broom trees. They are driven from human society, and people shout at them as if they were thieves. So now they live in frightening ravines and caves and among the rocks. They sound like animals howling among the bushes, huddled together beneath the nettles. They are nameless fools, outcries from society. But they are mocking Job, right? Job says, man, these people are the lowest of the low in our society. And it's funny. I find myself kind of right along with them. I find myself even below them. And now they mock me with vulgar songs. They taunt me. They despise me and won't come near me except to spit in my face. For God has cut my bowstring. He has humbled me, so they have thrown off all restraint. Isn't that amazing? Are we like that? Where we wait till someone's down and then we get them. Someone's down and then we jump on them. Then we get them, mock them. Am I a person who mocks other people? It's a good question. It's a good thought. Am I a person who's just waiting for that shoe to drop, just waiting for that person to get what's coming to them, and then I can, really beat them up verbally, even write some songs about them, kind of thing. It says, these outcasts oppose me to my face. They send me sprawling and lay traps in my path. They block my road and do everything they can do to destroy me. They know I have no one to help me. Isn't that interesting? In Job's day, people like this would be seen as rejected by God. But Job now sees himself as being in that category. From this person who seems so prominent to seem so blessed, to seem so accepted by God, to someone who's just like, just hanging out with those outcasts, even being mocked by those people. So, man, it's interesting. Sometimes we judge people's spirituality by how big their house is, how big the plane is, how big. And when I was growing up, when I saw people that had big planes and stuff like that in religion, it disgusted me. I thought, man, what a sellout. That doesn't sound like a religious person. But then, I came into the church and I saw that, a lot of people, they felt comfortable around riches. They feel more better. They started, I could see where people were saying, oh, I'm blessed of God, and we start using those terms. Oh, that other person's not so blessed of God. That one who's kind of hanging out over there, they're not so blessed, but I'm so blessed of God, and God bless, oh, God bless, blah, blah, bless. And it starts becoming a little cliche-ish, right? And Job sees that, oh my gosh, like, at one point, I thought I was totally in the right with God. And it was my circumstances. It was my health and everything like that I was in control. But now that I'm not in control, is God still with me? Whoa. And the answer is going to be yeah. Absolutely. God's love for us is not contingent. It's not based on the big house. It's not based on my health or my wealth. It's simply because He loves me. It's His work of loving. He loves to love. He loves to have mercy, right? Micah 6:8. He loves to have mercy. He doesn't just have mercy, He loves mercy. That's right. And so Job's learning some super duper lessons, right? That, God's not just like going, oh, you know what? Those that big house, they're blessed. Those that don't, oh, nope, they're not. No. So he says, these people block Job's road. They spit on his face, and he knows he has no one to help him. And then in verse 14 he says, they come at me from all directions. They jump on me when I am down. I live in terror now. My honor is blown away in the wind, and my prosperity has vanished like a cloud. And now my life seeps away. Depression haunts my days. Very depressed, right? At night my bones are filled with pain. So depressed he feels it in his bones. That happens to so many of us people, right? Where we're so sad, where it hurts. It gnaws at him relentlessly. He can't stop thinking about it. It's just constant. With a strong hand, God grabs my shirt. He grips me by the collar of my coat. It's like God says, Job, I got your attention, buddy. He has thrown me into the mud. I am nothing more than dust and ashes. God has placed me in a position that I cannot overcome. I cry to you, O God, but you do not answer. I stand before you, but you do not even look. Can you believe Job saying this to God, right? Hey, you shouldn't talk that way to God. God's going to get upset at you. But Job is sharing his honesty from where? A place of what? Grief, depression, super loss. And man, in that context, yeah, it's absolutely okay to talk this way to God. You have become cruel towards me. You use your power to persecute me. You throw me into the whirlwind and destroy me in the storm. And I know you are sending me to my death, the destination of all who live. God, you're doing all this to me. I know it's you. Surely no one would turn against the needy when they cry for help in their trouble. Did I not weep for those in trouble? Was I not deeply grieved for the needy? So I looked for good, but evil came instead. I waited for the light, but darkness fell. Isn't that like so many of us? Where, you might think you're doing great. Oh, I'm so great morally. I'm so great. Hey, I'm going to reap it's going to come good. It's going to be good. Nope, it doesn't always work that way. You don't always reap what you sow. It's not that karma thing, sometimes things happen, yes, even to you, that are doing oh so well. My heart is troubled and it says, and restless. Days of suffering torment me. And I walk in gloom without sunlight and stand in public square and cry for help. Instead, I am considered a brother to jackals and a companion to owls, right? He's a night guy, just up all night, can't sleep. My skin is turned dark and my bones burn with fever. My heart plays sad music and my flute accompanies those who weep. Man, Job is playing the blues. And he's talking to God so frankly. But it's the right context. I want you to see that. It's okay. It's, when you lose people in life and you're sad and you're melancholy and you're struggling and something's going on, it's okay to come to God and say, God, what are you doing? I feel like you've just left me. Now, we're going to see Job finish up tomorrow. But I want you to see these 2 chapters and just how cool they are, kind of back to back, right? Job says, hey, man, I thought everything was great. Everything seemed to be going great. Boy, do I wish for those days when everything's great. And that's what we all want, is control. We all want some kind of control with our health, control with, our life. Money in the bank. Options, for us. But when it's all gone, then where is my faith at that point? Again, the story of Job is God worthy of our worship even in times of loss? Is God worthy of worship? Is he a worthy object of worship even in time of loss? And that is, it should be an affirmative yes. Because if it ain't, then it's not a worthy object of your worship, right? Yeah. But if God's God, then God is worthy of my worship, no matter what. And this is why Jesus has come, right? Is to say, hey, this is what God is like. You might think God's out to get you because he's distanced himself from you. But I've come to reveal the Father. I've come to also make atonement for your sins. To actually do something to bring you close. Remember, that word offering means to draw near. Jesus has come to draw us near, back to God. Through what? Through the forgiveness of our sins. Woo! Pretty cool. It's not built on your house. It's not built on your car. Your salvation's not built on just how great of a speaker you are. It's not built on your 401k. It's built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. That's it. It's his work for you. All you need to do is say yes to it. That's it. Just say yep. And then, say, yeah, Jesus, I believe in you. That's it. And Job definitely knows now salvation is not built on his righteousness, but it's on God's character and God's work for Job, not Job's work for God. So, man, a very cool 2 chapters really about salvation. So anyway, that's my night Devo. And hey, you know what? Laura's in the house. Paula. Whoa, my brother. Man, it's so cool to have some of you guys there. So Laura says, God sent music to soothe my soul and worship him during my time of greatest need of him. So true. Job also had that wonderful music therapy taking place in his own life. Isn't that awesome? My old professor would be into that. That's for sure. He was a music therapist. Still is. And so anyway, you guys have a great one. And thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.